Well, greetings and salutations, good people of the internet. My name is Big Lou, and welcome to my workshop. This week's project is going to be one that has been long overdue and years in the making. Well, in the planning, anyway. And it's going to be inspired by this guy. That's Brad Rodriguez from the channel Fix This Build That. And if you don't know who he is, then you just haven't been around the maker community on YouTube for very long, because he has been a staple in our maker world for a really long time. He has been a mentor and a friend and an inspiration to me for years. Now, this project is a flip-top tool cart. I don't know if he's the one that actually came up with the design for this, but he's the first one that I saw do this. I bought Brad's plans for this project. I will link his plans in the description down below. He also has plans for a mobile miter saw stand. I have those plans as well. This project is going to be a two-part video. First part of the project is going to be building the tool cart, or the flip-top portion of the tool cart. The next part is going to be building the miter saw wings and a dust hood to collect and contain the dust from a miter saw stand, if you can contain the dust from a miter saw. Brad designed these as two separate projects. I am combining them like Voltron style into one. I'm doing this so that it will work in conjunction with my existing workbench. I'm taking his existing plans and modifying and adapting them to work in my space. I've got a lot of work to do here. I'm running my mouth way too long. I've got plywood that I need to go cut up over on the track saw. Once I get that cut up on the track saw, I'm going to take it to the table saw and get everything cut to final dimensions, use the pocket holes, all that stuff. You'll see what we're doing. Let's get to work. Let's go. Okay, so now that the carcass is completely put together, we can start worrying about the top. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. He was just talking way too much. We got too much work to do for all of that nonsense. The plans say we need to make a drawer now, so that's what we're going to do. Let's make a drawer. Yeah, drawer time. Let's go. Okay, so what have we learned? As you can see, the drawer has a offset to one side. Why is that? Well, quite frankly, the plans that I bought call for everything to be made from one full sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. Well, I had enough material to make the drawer out of half-inch material, thinking that I could have a little bit of a bigger drawer. However, I didn't account for the differential in size of the wall thickness of the material. So if you're gonna make changes to the plans that you're buying, take into account the things like that. But the drawer is done. I'm gonna put these casters that I got on it. The plans call for 3-inch casters. I only have 2-inch casters because, again, making adaptations to fit my space. And that's what making is all about. So I don't honestly remember what the last thing we talked about as far as the top goes, but I have done a lot of testing and a lot of... Okay, let's talk about the top for a minute. The plans say to buy 3/4 inch steel pipe. Now, it doesn't specify whether or not that needs to be inside diameter pipe or outside diameter pipe. But whenever you're buying pipe, that's something you need to take into account. The total thickness of what you're looking for needs to be 3/4 inch. Now, I bought 3/4 inch EMT conduit. The total thickness of 3/4 inch EMT conduit is 1 inch because EMT conduit is 3/4 inch inside diameter, not outside diameter. So I ended up having to buy 1/2 inch EMT conduit, and that turned the total thickness of the conduit into 3/4 inch. And the 1/2 inch EMT conduit is what I'm going to use for the project, even though the 3/4 inch pipe is what the plans call for. Now, I know Brad makes continual updates to the project plans, and I bought these plans several years ago, so I don't know if this is one of those updates that he has made over the years, and the new versions of the plans accommodate for that or not, but it is something to be aware of. So I wanted to make mention of it here in this video so that you're aware of it if you go to build these plans for yourself. So, food for thought, something to be aware of. Now let's go ahead and we can talk about the other parts of the top, and we can get on with other things. So let's get to it. So in order for the locking hardware to swing out like it's supposed to, we need to drill a slot into the end of this blocking. And I whipped up a tenoning jig for the table saw using some of the scrap wood. I was hesitant to do that because, number one, I always say if it feels sketchy, don't do it. But I think if we do it right, we can make it work and it won't feel as sketchy. It'll still be a little sketchy because it'll be a vertical piece, but if we do it right, I think we can make it work. So let's head over to the table saw and let's just be a little sketchy. Let's go. So the top is together, well, at least half of it's together, and I've left the other half of the top off of it so that I can measure exactly how far down to do the cutouts. The plans say to do the cutouts for the locking hardware before you put the frame together, or the carcass together, rather. I didn't do that for 2 reasons. It's not that I don't trust the plans. I absolutely trust the plans. I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself for a couple of reasons. And number one is I didn't make these plans. So I am following the plans that somebody else built. So I want to make sure that I'm doing the exact thing as it's going to be. Now, if this was going to be just a freestanding mobile cart as it's designed, that would be fine, and I'd do it exactly as it's built. However, I'm making this cart to work in conjunction with the height of my workbench. I want the top of, or the bed of the saw to be even with the top of my workbench so that I can use the workbench as an outfeed so that I don't always have to use one of the flip up wings that I'm going to be doing in the next video. And we'll get to that when we get to that. So that's why I didn't do that. Now, with this being said, I'm going to use some clamps and some rails to clamp this in place on the carcass so that I can mark where the cutouts need to go so that we can drill it and get everything locked in place. We are coming up on the home stretch on this phase of the project, so I'm really excited to put this thing in motion, and literally in motion. So let's get to it. Almost like I know what I'm doing. Almost. Well, it is done. I love it. I know, I say that about all my projects, but I really do. I love all my projects, and this one especially, because it really made me kind of challenge myself in ways that I hadn't been challenged before. I think that adapting Brad's plans to fit this space was a really cool way to make this project my own. You're going to want to definitely stick around to make sure that you see part 2 of this, because adding the dust hood to fit this and have the extraction part be over here on the side, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. We're just going to kind of wing it. Speaking of wings, the fold-out wings are going to be part of Brad's plans on the miter saw station that he has designed. I'll have both of the plans for the flip-top cart and his miter saw stand linked down below. Did I say I'm thrilled with how this thing turned out? Because I really, really am. If you're watching this in the future, the part 2 of this will pop up in a card, probably somewhere right around here. You could just go ahead and watch that. If not, make sure to go ahead and get subscribed so you can catch it next week when it comes out. Same Lou time, same Lou channel. Yeah, I love it. It's going to be great. I'm going to go ahead and get started on that project. So make sure that you guys stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay safe. We'll see you in the next one.